Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you may be tuning in. And this is actually a good morning for us here. This is Yonks, and we're streaming on several of our channels. The main topic of today is that we're doing an AMA Gigs Go Green. I've actually put forward a grant application on Unlock Protocol, and joined with me here from the Unlock community is Chris Carfi and also Mrs. Yonks, my superpower. So good morning. Thank you for joining us today, Chris.
Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Tyler. And yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to this conversation.
Well, I'm going to just hop right in here. I'm going to actually enable live streaming mode to see if there's going to be any engagement. We didn't really promote this a whole lot within the ecosystem, but I do want to see if there is anything that comes in here, but also share some links along with the viewers as well. So on the screen right now, we actually have the Unlock Protocol grantee handbook. And I'm just going to throw over here, I'm going to bring on my Discord. We've got our live stream channel. So this is the Unlock Protocol grantee handbook. And we're actually most interested in taking a look at the timeline right here. So this is where we're at. I already did that over here. And in that process, that took to where we're at here. So this is basically the official trigger to get this process going. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, and just a little bit of little background and kind of a quick intro. So I'm part of the project at Unlock Protocol, and on this call, really just as a member of the community. And in the past, the way that grants have been handled through the community is individuals from the Unlock Protocol ecosystem, like yourselves, have said, "Hey, we are interested in building." Creative things using Unlock Protocol. And they can be technical things, but they can be new business model types of things as well, which I think is the backing of this conversation. And when folks have an idea of, hey, it would be great to get a grant from the Unlock DAO, which is a collection of holders of individuals who are supporters and interested in promoting the protocol, can put together a grant application, which is what you've done. Typically, the way these grant processes work is the grant proposer will put sort of a temperature check out to the community. It's like, hey, if we do this thing, is this something that you have any questions about? And I think this forum that we're in right now for the AMA is a great opportunity for folks to ask questions. And then also folks can give really a non-binding but hopefully serious thumbs up or thumbs sideways, or yeah, you actually we've got some more questions type of response that gives some indication to the grant proposer. Would this grant be supported if it were to go to a formal vote? Then folks go and do the thing that they're going to do, and then based on that, they then put a formal vote up to the membership of the Unlocked DAO, and then based on that voting, which goes through the typical DAO voting process of putting a proposal up, giving some time for folks to review that proposal, then a vote, and then if the vote passes, then there's an execution of the vote. Those are sort of the steps. So no, this is exactly the process that we have seen other folks go through as well as members.
I noticed that I put myself on mute. So that's a fabulous explanation. Thanks for that. And I just got a comment that I really enjoyed, and I don't spin, I'm not a dev, but I can absolutely roll up my sleeves. And the GitHub process with it just being on GitHub, what I would say is a little bit more dev centric, but as not a dev, it wasn't something that was insurmountable. And that's one of the things that, as Tyler and I have built DAOs in the past and continue to build DAOs, we've done a little bit of stuff on GitHub. So I actually really enjoyed the workflow, at least going through that. So anyway, I'm going to actually just hop in right here. Gigs Go Green, a movement for gig workers. And Gigs Go Green is really us substantially simplifying some of the complexity that we're doing using Web3 and technology underneath the hood. And I'm going to just read the description right down here. We're using Unlock Protocol to onboard gig workers, and we're talking primarily Uber and Lyft drivers. That's going to be our initial focus into Web3, where we are developing a circular economy, alternative ownership enterprises model for the primary benefit of gig workers using Web3 technology. And I don't know how familiar a lot of people are with Web3. One word that I really love to describe Web3 is ownership. And I think that that's one of the things that's probably more unique about our proposal is that our proposal, we're not actually proposing to use this UDT or put it in our treasury. We're actually wanting to use this to pay it forward to what we're hoping will be future creators on Unlock Protocol. And what we're actually proposing during our pre-launch, and we're in pre-launch until January 22nd. We'll put that on the shelf and I'll come back to that in a minute. But what we're asking from the Unlock DAO community is for 100 UDT. And what we're actually going to do is after we create a Web3 onboarding experience, and one of the primary things that we're really looking to do is to have a Web3 onboarding workshop. And this is one of the things that I would absolutely love to sprinkle in Unlock Protocol, because it is the foundational aspect of what we're building. Like right now, and one of the things that we'll do for you, Chris, is we'll actually do an airdrop to you. We might even do that on the live stream here, for you to get our pre-launch Gigs Go Green NFT built with Unlock Protocol. So anyway, what we're wanting to do after and the Web3 onboarding workshop, we're really envisioning that to be probably a 90-minute plus a 30-minute question. So a 2-hour. And one of the fun things that we're really looking forward to doing is continuing to explore hybrid events. And this is one of the things that, imagine somebody that's never had a Web3 wallet. And one of the objectives of this Web3 onboarding workshop is to hold their hand, help them practice some good practices, like not taking a screenshot of their seed phrase and putting it in the cloud, right? Writing down those words, those important words on a piece of paper, and then airdrop them their member NFT. So it's a very simple dynamic. January 22nd is when we're going to flip the switch and start our Kickstarter campaign. So one of the things that I mentioned, what we're going to be doing with Gigs Go Green is really 3 different pillars of crowdfunding. We're going to be doing a GoFundMe, which has an Unlock Protocol component. I might even show that here momentarily. Kickstarter, this is actually where we're going to be onboarding members into this Tesla Black DAO into our ecosystem via the Kickstarter. So anyway, that's a pretty simple thing. And then one of the things that I thought would be fun is getting some feedback too. Like that's one of the things that we want to get better at. Like one of the things that we could provide is maybe 30 days after somebody has gone through our Web3 onboarding workshop, a feedback mechanism as far as like, hey, what has been your experience as a new Web3 user with Unlock Protocol? How could we improve unlock protocol, and getting valuable feedback from 100 new Web3 users, I think would be invaluable. But anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and see if what I just proposed there made sense.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to jump into the AMA as somebody who is, a member of the community and the types of questions that pop up in my head based on this. So, folks who are going to be part of this, what are they actually going to be doing? So, heard the proposal that 100 people who are gig workers, primarily Uber and Lyft gig workers, each would get a UDT governance token as part of this. Zooming back, away from just the unlock portion of this, can you tell us what Gigs Go Green is? What is what's sort of the thesis around that?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for asking that, because I absolutely did not do a great job at sharing that. So I'm actually going to share a link to the Web3 Freedom Club roadmap. And this is a project that we're building through the Web3 Freedom Club ecosystem that we're creating here. And I'm going to link that in the Zoom for your benefit. I threw it in the live stream for everybody. So this is the Gigs Go Green roadmap, and it's basically the roadmap for Web3 Freedom Club. Gigs Go Green is our main project for throughout 2024. And again, Gigs Go Green is a movement for gig workers, and we're simplifying that. And let me expand the roadmap and timeline. So there's what we're doing here is we're creating a circular economy, alternative ownership enterprises model. So one of the things as a gig worker, and this is a model that I'm creating primarily for my benefit. I've been a gig worker. I would even today, Chris, I would rather get paid to drive our Tesla than make six figures doing IT. I had a very successful, I was super OG, like I was a Cisco certified network professional before the dot-com crash, made $1 million to $2 million doing IT. And in 2023, I would rather get paid to drive a Tesla doing Uber and Lyft than sit behind a keyboard for 8 to 12 hours a day. And one of the main reasons for that is that I have a lot more freedom to spend with my 2.5-year-old, freedom that I didn't have when I was grinding IT. So anyway, what we're wanting to do, I firmly hold the belief, and again, think primarily through the lens here of an Uber and Lyft driver. I firmly hold the belief that a Tesla Black, specifically a Tesla Black 7-passenger, and you've really got two choices for that because they only have two models that come in 7-passenger, the X that they've been making, and that's probably like a $90,000 to $120,000 car. So that's really like, too nice, really, honestly. That's the one with those crazy falcon wing doors. The other one is the Model Y. And Tyler and I have owned a Model Y since April of 2021. And we were one of the first people that had the 7-passenger Model Y. So true story is, and this is just some legacy that predates Uber and Lyft. In order to earn the most money possible when you're out grinding, shuttling passengers around, the Uber or the Lyft has to be black on black. If the car is not black on black, the driver is ineligible to do the ultra premium rides. So what we're looking to do is via a equity offering, we're actually looking to raise $5 million for the benefit of Colorado to acquire, and I'm gonna toggle over here. This is we're calling this security offering, and right now we're talking about Tesla Black. So what we're looking to do via our offering is raise up to 5 million, where we will buy 50 Teslas, which will enable 100 cooperative drivers. And think of like the situation here, you've got driver A they're a weekday warrior Monday to Thursday. Then you've got driver B, weekend warrior Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I think some people may have the idea that like, hey, I'm driving full time. I need to have a car 24/7. But let's do some math here real quick, because one of the things that we want to help gig workers at is be more profitable. We're really positioning this Tesla Black DAO, where we're over here going back to our proposal during pre-launch. We're in pre-launch right now for Tesla Black DAO. We're positioning Tesla Black DAO as the most profitable community for gig workers. In order to participate in the driver cooperative model that we're creating here, you have to be a member of Tesla Black DAO. And that's one of the things that we're going to be using our own governance mechanism through the DAO to really determine who that we're going to enable to be in these vehicles. So anyway, going back to the math, let's just run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You run that out, that's 168 hours in a week. In Colorado, you're only legally able to drive 70 hours. So 168 minus 70 equals 98. Plenty of opportunity, like I said, for driver A, driver B to get their grind on and make great money here in Colorado. So now that we've got these Teslas that are, out supporting the community, shuttling passengers around, guess what? These vehicles, these electric vehicles are going to need to charge somewhere. So that's where we're wanting in this circular economy model to become the energy company. So how are we going to do that? We're going to build out distributed energy resources that have three main components: solar panels to generate the energy, battery storage to store the energy, and EV charging to distribute the energy. And by us building out these distributed energy resources with the battery storage component, that's actually going to add a lot of additional resiliency to the grid. So, and like when you think again through the lens of these gig workers, there's really two scenarios that they need to charge when they're out grinding, and think driving 8, 10, 12, maybe 14 hours a day. There's the 250, 300 miles, if you charge the car to 100%, isn't normally enough. So, and they're also going to get hungry, need a bite to eat. So they need a place like a parking lot where they can go plug in the car, grab a bite to eat, and then, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, have a full tank of charge and ready to finish off their day. And then when they're done driving, the last thing that they really want to do is go sit in a parking lot again. They want to go home, kick back a cold one, binge some Netflix, whatever, right? And then have a full tank of charge in the morning. So parking lot and single family house. That enters the third model in this scenario, the circular economy that we're building out, which is a community land trust, which is basically to acquire the real estate for the parking lot or the single family. So that's going to be dropping on February 22nd for Colorado. And the way that we're building out this model is that can be replicated on a state-by-state basis. Not going to unpack all of the strategy of that, but Gigs Go Green is a movement for gig workers, and the Tri3 co-op cooperative STO security token offering is how that we're going to help gig workers go green.
Very cool. And then you had mentioned when we were chatting a little bit earlier before we went live that the folks who are the gig workers and the 100 folks who would get some participation in the Unlock DAO are potentially creators themselves going forward. Can you tell me some more about that?
Still on mute. Yeah, thanks for that. So let me actually load up we talked about crowdfunding. So one of the things that, like, when you talk about over here where we're wanting to raise 5 million for each one of these buckets, and just waiting for my computer to load this. So this is the GoFundMe. So one of the narratives that we're going to be teaching these drivers that onboard into Tesla Black DAO, and the thing that's really exciting about this, we're talking about doing a security offering for Colorado. The thing that's exciting about Tesla Black DAO is what we're going to be creating with this unlock protocol with a member NFT. And we're going to be educating drivers to basically become content entrepreneurs and affiliate marketers in 2024. So one of the beliefs that I have, and I literally just created this GoFundMe for myself, like within the last 24 hours, 2 days ago, right here, created 2 days ago. So imagine the scenario here where gig workers, drivers, and it doesn't matter if they're in a Tesla or not, they're driving passengers around. And I think that a gig worker doesn't have to spend too many thoughts as like, hey, does a 7-passenger vehicle make sense? I'm missing out on these XL rides. Does a luxury vehicle make sense? And keep in mind, I've done over 12,000 trips, and it's through a lot of these trips that a lot of the ideas that are compressed into Gigs Go Green have been born. So like, we have been a Tesla owner since 2018. Out of those 12,000 trips that I've done, none of the energy that I've used to refuel our Tesla has come from sustainable or renewable energy, like wind or solar. And we're talking about solar. I think solar is the best. I'm not even going to unpack that. So this is a very simple GoFundMe that I created here. And the goal of this is to engage the passengers with the narrative. Because, like, when you ask people, are you concerned about climate change? Most people would say, yeah. And then I was like, okay, so what are you doing about it? And the thing is that there's not really any models that I've heard of where people can be like, this makes sense to me. This is a way that I can participate. So that's why that we're creating this a movement for gig workers is while not everybody may personally drive Uber or Lyft, a lot of us as a community and as a society benefit from Uber or Lyft and this opportunity to collectively take action through this movement. And this GoFundMe is one of the ways that we're going to be doing that. So when you think about, like, I've got a very low goal of 1,000 for my GoFundMe. One of the things over the next year that I want to do, Chris, is to help 5,000 gig workers each raise $1,000. And then, like, one of the things that I'm going to personally do is, like, how will I use the funds for this GoFundMe? I'm going to use 70% of those to invest in my own security offering. And when you talk about like 5,000 gig workers at $1,000 each, that's how we get our 5 million. So this is a narrative, because like one of the things that Tyler and I, from our experience working with gig workers, like renting out vehicles to them and stuff like that, that was actually one of the niches, a very profitable niche for Tyler and myself, going prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, is that we were renting out approximately a dozen plus cars to gig workers. One of the reasons that we loved renting cars to gig workers is the car could be rented to the same person for months on end. So it was a very, very passive cash flow, but we really saw the poverty trap that gets created when gig workers are renting a vehicle and never owning a vehicle. And that's one of the things that we're wanting to do with our model, is create a shared equity appreciation dynamic where these gig workers would cooperatively own the vehicle that they're driving.
Got it. And so for the gig workers, how would and again, the trying to think of this as a member of the Unlock community, what are the types of things that they would be doing that is themselves, being a creator or using the Unlock protocol?
Yeah, so one of the biggest value propositions that we're going to be creating for Tesla Black DAO is, as I mentioned, educating and training them on becoming content entrepreneurs. So one of the things that I could really envision here, and this is one of the things that I haven't even done yet. I'm going to bring it up in another screen over here. Let me do that real quick, because one of the things that I was playing around with was Paragraph, and and I don't know if it was you that created some content surrounding the Unlock protocol and the Paragraph.xyz integration. But let me go to the Unlock Protocol dashboard for Yonk's team, which is the um, main wallet that Tyler and I use for us as our for projects that we do. Let me get this over here. Okay, so here is the Unlock Protocol dashboard where, as a content creator, these are a couple locks that I just made. So this is the Unlock protocol for Gigs Go Green GoFundMe. So this is one of the things that I'm really envisioning doing as a thank you for supporting our GoFundMe. So one of the things that I'm really envisioning as far as the workflow over here, going back to the GoFundMe, is, let me see. So over here, I would say, hey, would you like to receive a free NFT as a thank you from Yonk's team? And then we would have like some little form. Then I would drop them, like one of the things that I'm thinking of as far as like a content aspect here, to just amplify, practice an attitude of gratitude, is doing maybe a weekly video or weekly blog post where I thank the people. And then, like, this is a nice little digital thank you that I could provide via Unlock Protocol. And then basically what we're doing with this GoFundMe is that we're creating a model that we're going to be teaching other gig workers in our community to follow, so that they'll be able to have money to become owners in the circular economy model that we're building.
Got it. So this would really be a way that they can start to understand how they themselves can be creators on whatever content topic is, of their interest and passion and vocation. And this would be one of the first steps in getting folks to really understand how to do that, how to set that up, how to monetize them becoming content creators for whatever their topic of choice is. Is that close?
No, that is absolutely spot on. And we're specifically calling it content entrepreneur, because I really believe that the new American dream is entrepreneurship. And I'm a big fan, as Tyler can attest, of Joe Paluzzi, Content Inc., and he's got a community at thetilt.com. And he also hosts Content Entrepreneur Expo, which I think is the first week in May, but probably not going to be at that myself. But I that's really how that we're going to be positioning. Because like the other thing too, when you think of like the scenario of a gig worker, Uber or Lyft driver that's driving around passengers, imagine us having like on the back of a headrest a little QR code that says, hey, instead of a tip, GoFundMe, help Yonks with Gigs Go Green, or help John Doe, or help Tyler. And then because the value proposition too here is that it's social proof of somebody like, and I really hold the belief, Chris, that this narrative I think is so compelling. Instead of somebody thinking about maybe a $5 tip, that they might do a $20 GoFundMe, or maybe a $50 or $100 GoFundMe, because this is something that I think that people can really believe that is a tangible impact to climate change. And then also, when you think about like electric vehicles, one of the counter aspects to electric vehicles is that the public utility grid will not scale enough to do that. Well, that's true if we're going to rely on the centralization of energy creation. But when we're talking about building these distributed energy resources, we're not even going to be having to transmit energy across the public utility grid, because we're going to be generating, storing, and distributing energy all on site, again, for the primary benefit of these gig workers.
Very cool. So in the time that we have left, do you want to walk us through the rest of the grant proposal there, so folks from the Unlock DAO can just sort of understand what's out here, and of course they'll be able to ask further questions here in the GitHub or in Discord as well.
Yeah, and I didn't actually put, I mean, the proposal that I put forward was pretty simple. This is something that we're really wanting to use as an incentive here during the pre-launch. Now, one of the things I think that this will be a really solid value proposition to the Unlock protocol, because basically what we're advocating here is onboarding potentially 100 new members into the Unlock DAO community, because we're going to take, again, the 100 UDT and reward that 1 token per member. And this is something that we're wanting to just limit for the pre-launch. And the 122 is when our Kickstarter campaign will go. So this is one of the things that we want to have a very open dialogue. One of the additional things that I think that would be solid is to have a feedback mechanism where, it would basically be where we could reach out to these people, these 100 pre-launch participants, 30 days after they went through our Web3 onboarding workshop, and just say, hey, how has your experience been? Like, is this something that you're actively using? Because our hopes is that we'll really take people through this journey as quick as possible, because we really view this GoFundMe as an immediate thing that drivers can implement to increase their cash flow through this compelling narrative that we're architecting.
Got it. So with that, are there other details? So if folks haven't had a chance to listen to this conversation, if somebody was just coming to this proposal, are there things in here that you want to sort of highlight to folks to make sure that they sort of understand what they are supporting?
Um, you know, I'll actually think of like because one of the things that we're wanting to do is to really onboard people into this gigs go green. Like right now, we have a very low barrier of entry. One of the things that we would love to do is get our Twitter follower counter up. So I may even create a fun quest on Questin where like they could follow us and then like maybe fill out a form to ask some questions in case they missed it. And I'm thinking that that would be a good course of action. And like with where we're at from the time standpoint, and this is one of the things, if I understand this proposal, this is something that what would you say that the normal timeframes are as far as the like, because I think that I could get a snapshot proposal created. How long does the temperature check normally run on snapshot? Let me actually just go real quick. So here's the Unlock protocol snapshot dashboard, which is where the, and let me close this out because I did a search before we went live here, and there was a search that I did for grant, and one that you mentioned, Chris, was the ucollect.me. So anyway, the question is, how long is there a configured time frame or an accepted time frame? Like this one ran 10 days. Is that the normal time frame, or is that
Yeah, that's really up to you. So, I mean, and again, I'm speaking here just as a member of the community. The snapshot typically is for folks to really kind of spark the conversation, but also get a good bit of feedback from the community as to is it likely that if we do the things that we said we're going to do, then the actual quote real vote on tally or on chain would pass. So the snapshot portion of this is is optional. It's recommended just so folks who are creating grant proposals can get an idea before they go through the effort of doing an on-chain proposal and an on-chain vote through Tally. So it could be 3 days. It could be 10, like you saw with You Collect Me. It's really up to you as the proposer in order to get a good sense of feedback and a good temperature check from the community. If you do the things that you say you're going to do, then the community would be likely to vote positively in the tally vote. So the snapshot one honestly is up to you as the proposer. The tally vote is the one that does have very defined timeframes, because those are things that are written into and coded into the smart contract. And the only way those things can be changed, that's not anything that any single person can configure. Those are things that are, memorialized in code. And if you go to, if you open up a window for tally.xyz, and then search on unlock, and again, these are things, this is the on-chain vote. And if you search and explore DAOs on the top there, and in the top where it says Explore DAOs next to the Tally logo, there we go. And if you click on that one right there, this is a good example. And again, all of the things that are in here, if you click on that top one for, say, retroactive funding under the proposals there, you can see the timeline. And again, these are all created in code. So where it says on status in the right-hand sidebar there, I think there is where it's published on chain. That is when the proposal basically becomes live on Tally. There is in code, I believe, a 1 week or so sort of review period that is there, and that is intended for once the proposal has been written on chain. It is sort of in this view only period for about a week. So people who might be considering voting on it have ample time to review it before the vote actually goes live. Then you see the voting period starts, and in the right-hand side here, it looks like for this one, it starts on the 25th. The voting period is I think a week as well. And then based on whether it passes or not, if it passes, then it gets queued for payout, and then the execution is when the payout actually happens. So end to end on Tally, and again, this is all memorialized in code. No one can change this unless the DAO, votes to have a proposal to change it. Takes end to end about 2 to 3 weeks. So it does have these checkpoints that are built in for the review period, then the voting period, and then if it passes, there is a couple of day period, I think, for that queuing and execution as well.
No, that sounds good. I don't think I have any questions. That all makes sense to me. Did you get all of the questions from your perspective asked and answered, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the kind of the bigger one, or sort of the overarching question, I'm again looking at this through the lens of a member of the Unlock community, is the UDT aspect of this going out to the members of the community that you're putting together really is a means and a mechanism that is tied to or connected to the content entrepreneurship aspect of that. So I think, again, looking solely from the point of view as an Unlock community member, definitely in the proposal or in the conversation around the proposal, would want to hear a lot more about what does that Web3 onboarding for those folks look like? How are they going to be using things like Web3, things like Unlock Protocol? Because the whole vision itself is phenomenal, from the drivers to the energy to the housing, and trying to understand in particular how does Unlock Protocol and this grant fit into that, and if there's any more detail around, are there other, if a big part of that is those drivers are getting UDT as a way to sort of onboard them into the creator economy, being content entrepreneurs, understand a little bit more about what that content might look like, what those courses might look like, what that aspect of it look like. That would be the one question I would have looking at it through the lens of a community member who is considering this proposal.
Yeah, no, and that absolutely makes sense. And that's one of the things that we've got a decent amount of collateral, but one of the things that we're absolutely looking to do through Gigs Go Green, and this is absolutely an open invitation. And one of the things that we'll actually do is I think that it makes a lot of sense to create with some of the details that we talked about here to just capture that in a written manner. And that's one of the things that I'm plenty well versed on, creating proposals using Snapshot for our own community. So that's something that I'll look at doing, and then also have a mechanism, because I would really like to see us get within the next couple of days the proposal drafted on our end and then uploaded so that it could be voted on by the Unlock community. And I can't remember how long that I personally held 20 UDT. And really, I think the whole aspect is to educate the drivers, but then also with them potentially receiving this one UDT, that really just amplifies them becoming owners in a token that can be exchanged on Uniswap. And that's one of the things that we're really excited through our own security token offering to bring this vision to life through crowdfunding in 2024. So we'll work on getting that proposal drafted for Snapshot and uploaded there to the Unlock Protocol Snapshot dashboard here, and we'll take care of that conversation over to Discord. But you've been quiet along this journey, Tyler. Do you have any final thoughts, questions, anything to add to the conversation?
No, I think you already covered everything that I was gonna add. We're really excited to use Unlock on this, and I think it's just a great protocol that will make people really, or that'll make it a lot easier for people to get involved with this thing. So I think this is gonna be a
Awesome.
great bet.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for putting this together, and thanks for the conversation. There is one sort of clarification I do want to add, which is when thinking about UDT, it is truly, intended to be a governance token. And so what we would, and again, I'm doing this as a member of the community. I would hope that these the ultimate recipients of that would be folks who are then becoming active in the Unlock DAO and the Unlock community, and using that that UDT as a means to vote on future types of things. So they would be participating in future grant votes, future protocol votes, and future direction of the protocol, as opposed to some of the things that we've seen with other grants, not necessarily with Unlock, but we've seen other things out in the broader ecosystem. Someone gets a grant and then they immediately, do go to Uniswap and flip it. And really, the purpose and the only reason UDT exists is to be a governance and voting component of supporting and really being part of an active conversation, and active driving forward of the governance in the Unlock Protocol community.
No, and I really appreciate that you clarified that too, because that's one of the things that I think is a unique opportunity when we're building this onboarding workshop to really kind of bake that in. Because the more that we can bring forward that, hey, there's a DAO ecosystem, that it's not just the Tesla Black DAO or Gigs Go Green, and then have another mechanism, especially when we're talking about some foundational technology that we're going to be empowering these gig workers to learn and participate in. So really looking forward to collaborating with the Unlocked Protocol DAO community to really collaborate and create some fabulous mutually agreeable, because we want to put the thing forward and the opportunity to use collateral that may already exist where you don't have to create it. That's what we're all about. Composability.
Indeed, indeed.
Alrighty, well, thank you as always, Chris. Love the Zoom conversations that we have here. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close, and we'll carry the conversation on the metaverse or Discord or whatever. But have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you, and thanks again for the invitation. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.